Hi, welcome back to Growth Catalyst. Today is day 29 of the journey that we have taken of 30-day Turbocharge Your Career course, the YouTube course. On day 29 today, we are going to look at, now that you have given the interview, that job interview is done, what are the next steps? There are two broad next steps are there. One, how do you follow up after your interview, which is very, very important, and we will see what all needs to be done. And part two, which is a painful part two, is what to do if you are not selected in that interview. It's not the end of the world, but you still need to negotiate with yourself. You still need to be at peace with yourself. You still need to pick up the pieces and move on. How do you do that? How do you plan your life? That's what we are going to do. So it's going to be a slightly longish session. Let's dive in. Let's take the first part and look at what do you do as a follow-up after the interview. Many times, it would be very beneficial if you can send a very personalized email immediately after the interview, at least within the 24 hours after the interview. If you can send a personalized note that impresses upon the interviewers and the panel of the people and the company that you are really interested in the job. How do you draft that mail? Very simple. I'm going to show a template mail of what is possible. In that, you basically express your interest, express key points that might have happened during the interview, and you say that you are interested in the position. You would love to hear back from them. It also ensures that you hear back from them either way. A lot of times, companies don't really come back to you for a very long time because the process takes that kind of a time, but they at least keep you posted if you share mails like this so that you would know what is happening at the end of the company. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share a possible way of drafting that mail. So I'm sharing my screen now. You are able to see the screen. This is exactly what I meant. It's an example of a thank you mail. Thank you for whatever that job interview was, the title, interviewer's name. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today about the position. I'm really excited about the opportunity to join your company and contribute to specific project, team, focus, whatever was mentioned during the meeting, during that interview, you need to have noted down. Those are the things that makes a person very different from everybody else. Our conversation confirmed my strong interest in the position, especially the chance to whatever the reference which came up, the key responsibility or a project about which some discussion, some point might have been mentioned during the interview. I'm confident that my experience in specific skills, experiences will allow me to make meaningful contributions to your team. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you need any additional information. I look forward to the next steps in the process. Thank you again for your time and consideration. Best regards, sign up. That's basically the body of the mail. The key point to note in the mail is, one, it is sent within 24 hours, which shows your interest and your passion in this position. Second, you are able to recall the name of the person who interviewed you. It could be a panel, it could be one person, but you should have noted down, you should have the mail ID of the person. If it's an online interview, you would automatically know the mail ID, most of the time at least. But if it is an offline interview, it may not. So you need to do some digging to find the name of the person, the position, title, and the mail ID. Sometimes the HR team, which is organizing the interview, would share. Sometimes you need to request for the same. And three, you need to have noted down the key points, key discussions, key conversations which have happened during that interview so that you can recall them in this mail. Okay, so that's the point of the whole mail. Sometimes what happens, you need to wait and you don't still hear anything from them, neither a reply to this mail that you have sent within 24 hours after the interview, nor do you hear anything about, like say, next 2 days. So what do? You follow up. So that's the mail here. Subject, follow up on title application. Dear sir, whatever the interview's name, I hope this message finds you well. I wanted to follow up on my interview for the position role and inquire about the next steps in the hiring process. I'm very enthusiastic about the opportunity to join your esteemed company and contribute to your team. I appreciate your time and consideration and look forward to hearing from you. So this gets sent roughly 2 to 3 days after your first mail gets sent. If you already have somebody in the company who can follow up for you, then you don't have to do the email. But even then, sending a mail, which is a professional mail, especially in a mass hiring kind of a process where thousands of people might be hired, for which 10,000s of people might be interviewed, it might be a good idea to send a follow-up mail, another mail after 2 to 3 days after the first mail. A good idea could be that you reach out to people who were in the interview panel or key people of the company immediately after the interview process is over. It could be that you were offered a position, or it could be that you are still waiting to hear from them. Whatever the case, reach out to those people, key people in the company, key people who interviewed you on LinkedIn, and send a connection request. Again, send a very personalized connection request so that it doesn't come across as a rude invite to join. Personalize it, talk about the fact that you are interested in the company, talk about the fact that you were there in the interview, and one of them could have been the part of the interview panel. Specifics always help people to recognize who's asking for the request and connect back. So do that. The last thing that you need to remember is that it does take time for the company to announce the results. Many times, irrespective of which position it is, and the senior the position, the longer it takes. They are actually interviewing many more candidates at the same time. And they may want to hear from some of the candidates. They are still organizing different parts of the interview. It could be written interview, it could be a technical part of the interview, it could be the behavioral part of the interview. They are still organizing some of these parts for some of these people. And some of the people who are part of the core interview panel may also be traveling. They have their own responsibilities. A lot of times the interview is done not only by the HR people, but also by the business side of the people to ensure that the right people join their team. And these people also have different sets of responsibilities. They have to deliver. It could be manufacturing, that they are part of the factory setup, and therefore they have their 9 to 6 or 8 to 7, whatever the job timings are, they have that job and their hands are full. It could be that people are traveling. It could be that people are looking at a few candidates who are still yet to confirm their availability even for interviews. So lots of unknowns are there in the whole equation, and hence it genuinely does take time. You need to respect that. There's no point sending follow-up mails or sending urgent messages saying what is happening. It is important to follow up, but it is important to follow up very discreetly, giving that space and time to the people who are organizing the entire process. Otherwise, they will get really cut up saying that this guy is urgently following up, repeatedly following up, and they might start suspecting, is it something wrong with this person? Is that person so desperate that he has or she has lost the job, and is the desperation coming basis that? So it begs a lot of questions like that. It is better to stay away and not even raise those questions, those suspicions. So do the follow-up very discreetly and allow them space and time and wait. Now, it's all very easy to wait till the time that you hear from the company either way. Now, the second part of the whole episode today is to look at what to do if the company comes back and says that, thank you for attending the interview, we are sorry, we are going ahead with somebody else, and rejects you. What do you do if you're rejected? Remember that rejection is part of the process. Also remember that there are at least 200 to 300 to 400 applications which come for every single position. The senior the position, the lower the applications. But even then, even for the most senior positions, people do consider at least 3 to 4 people before finalizing one. Entry-level positions, mid-level positions attract tons of applications, and easily you could be one of the 20-25 people who made the interview cut, which means that for that one position, it could be that 20 people were finally selected for some levels of interview. Very likely that if you were selected for the interview, that you were at least one of 8 to 10 people who made the group discussion, who made the first round of interview, who made the technical interview, and so on and so forth. So it's important to remember that you have a tons of that qualification required to make the cut. You still did not make the cut, but you were very, very close. So that's the first point to remember. Otherwise, you would become dejected. You would say to yourself that, oh, I've lost, I'm a loser, I'm not going to win. And all the negativity starts flowing in the mind. So stop all the negativity. Tell yourself that I lost the interview, but I'm not a loser. That's very important. Do actually go ahead and do, or stay organized. I'm sure you are not attending just one interview. I'm sure you are attending many interviews, and the interview that you lost is only one of the many that you are planning to attend. So you need to be very organized in terms of, okay, how many jobs that you have applied for, which ones. You should have a tracker. It could be Excel based, it could be Notion based, it could be any of the devices that can help you to remind yourself, organize yourself. Excel sheet works beautifully. That's very good. Put all the jobs that you applied for. When did you apply? And when are they likely to conduct the interviews, so that you can plan in case you need to travel, in case you need to prepare for specifically for that company, you need to prepare specifically for the job interview, and so on and so forth. So you need to have some kind of a tracker having all these information, and where it also tells you what part of the interview that you need to start preparing for. Set small, achievable goals. Tell yourself that, okay, today, next 2 days, 3 days, I'm going to focus on this part of the technical requirement, which did not really go well during the previous interview. So that's where reflection on the previous interview is very, very useful. Sit down and reflect what part of that interview did not really go well, if at all. It might have gone well also, and the company might still have chosen somebody else who did even better. That's okay. But reflect and look at what is it that you could have done better. There are always parts of the interview, even if you have got the job, you realize that you could have done better. What are those parts? It could be part of the group discussion. It could be part of technical interview. It could be part of some parts of the technical interview where you were asked about your knowledge or the way you synthesize, the way you do things, and so on, which applies your technical knowledge directly. Or it could be some parts of the behavioral interview where you did not answer some of the questions properly, but reflection tells you which part of the interview could have gone better, and therefore where is it that you need better preparation. So plan for that and set small achievable goals in terms of looking at those areas and improving yourself. Now that you know that you have not done well, you need to do well in the next interview when the opportunity arises. Plan for that, set yourself small goals and track those goals in terms of, okay, for example, I did not do well in the technical interview on these aspects of, let's say, Java or Python. Is a simple example, so I'm taking those examples. Then all you need to do is to go back to your drawing board and look at why you did not do well on these questions. What is the lack of that fundamental understanding which made you make mistakes, and correct those errors. Get that fundamental understanding absolutely right, crystal clear. That's what you need to do. And it applies to whether it is a technical part of the interview or behavioral part of the interview. Process and the principles are the same. It's important to surround yourself with good support. It could be your spouse, it could be your family, it could be your friends, it could be a mentor who encourages you. Understanding that failure is part of the process, whether it is business or personal life or whole job application and getting the job process. Failure, missing that deadline is part of the process till you become absolute expert so that you get there. But telling that is easier than leaving that. So you need emotional support during this process, especially when you get rejected. You need to know how to handle rejection, and you need to have support which can help, and we can make the rejection easier to handle. So get some support, talk to people so that you are emotionally supported, because it can be a draining process. Keep learning, keep improving. Look at what the next level of skills which are coming up, and always have a program to keep on learning, keep on improving. It's important. Even if you are on a job, even if you are in a job where you love, absolutely happy with it, it's important that you keep up with the skills which are in demand, which are ever increasing, ever improving. So that program has to be there as part of your fundamental aspects of what you do in life. While preparation is very important, while you need to set goals, go on to achieve them in terms of learning, improving, after reflecting on where you might have missed out during that interview, which might have resulted in the rejection. It's also important to recharge yourself by taking adequate breaks. If, especially after the rejection, it can be one avalanche of feelings that I need to crack the next time around, which is good, which is important, but that should not result in you burning yourself out. So plan enough breaks in between, plan enough energizers in between, so that you are always recharged to reach the goal. The last one, keep a very positive mindset. Keep an abundance mindset. There are thousands and thousands of jobs out there, thousands companies out there, and you will get your cut, you will get your opportunity. When one window closes, remember that there will be a door which is opening, which is much bigger somewhere else. Just that people are so focused on the window that they don't see the door opening just besides them. So keep a positive mindset, keep an abundance mindset. Don't lose heart. Keep yourself charged up, keep yourself surrounded with good supporting people so that you can go ahead and ace the next interview. Wishing you all the very best for your interview. Wishing you all the very best in your career, and see you in our next episode. Please like, please subscribe to the channel. See you in our next episode.